Here are the best games made with GDevelop in 2025. We literally say this every year, but again, a lot happened. There were a number of community events and game jams, and a ton of improvements made to the engine, which now has a real-time 3D editor that shows exactly how your game would look when you preview the game, with the skybox, lighting, and all of the effects all visible inside of the editor. The 3D physics character and vehicle behaviors were added to the engine, along with dozens of starter projects to help you get into building your game faster. And there's the new save state feature, which lets you save and load the entire game with only 2 actions. One to save the game, and one to load it back in. GDevelop community members were pushing the bounds of what GDevelop could do, creating cool 3D projects like this one, advanced 3D features like dynamic lighting and shadows, and bone and morphing controls, shaders that showed off reflections, procedurally generated clouds, performance tools, and using math to perform actual magic. On YouTube, people were using the engine to make funny videos, creating tutorials to help other users, showing their game development through devlogs, and live streaming their work. And on top of all of that, GDevelop users were out in the world hosting workshops, receiving awards and grants from their local government, creating an archaeology game for their undergraduate dissertation based on real archives, and even creating a full-blown TV show based on their game. But now let's get into the games. In order for a game to qualify for this video, it had to be released, be in development, or at least get updated this year. This is a subjective list of games that I've found, not necessarily the best games ever made with GDevelop. Starting with a few of the games that went to expositions or large events. Starting with Stranded on a Raft, which had a booth at this year's Philippine GameDev Expo. The game is a top-down 2D crafting survival game where you survive on a raft. It can be played alone or with up to 4 players, and to this point, the game has been played almost 700,000 times. The game can be played in web browsers and on mobile devices. Then there's another game from the same developer, Cuisiner Master. The game is a fast-paced multiplayer cooking game where you compete to prepare classic Filipino dishes. So this developer had 2 games being shown off at the expo, and they even gave out stickers. The game is available to play on GD.games. Then there's Katuba's Poacher, which had a booth at this year's Tokyo Game Show, Japan's largest game festival. The game is a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up with an emphasis on its boss fights and story. After receiving 5 times more than they were asking for through crowdfunding, their game has been in active development, and they've now landed a publishing deal with Red Dune Games. The game isn't available to play yet, but is coming soon on Steam. Now let's move into games on Steam or the Epic Games Store. Starting with Astroburn, a fast-paced sci-fi cute-em-up full of bullet hell chaos and giant adorable animals in huge mechs. The game is full of cat puns, it has its own dedicated IGN page showing off its demo launch, and there have been multiple articles written about the developer and game. The game is listed as coming soon, and has a playable demo on Steam. Then there's Inflafrog, Collector's Edition. Originally made for a game jam back in 2024, this game got such a positive reaction from players that the developer made it into a full Steam release, with a ton of new unlockable content. The game is an endless arcade platformer inspired by old retro games, where the point is to try to inflate your frog as much as possible to get a higher score, but the bigger your frog is, the more difficult it is to progress through the level. This updated version of the game is available on Steam. Then there's Soul Park, which is a voxel-based sandbox city builder where you build an amusement park for the dead. The game is full of mini-games and activities, and as the Steam page says, you'll be in for a hell of a time. And this game is actually available on Steam and Google Play. Then there's Ornoga Idol, which is an action idle auto-battler, where you can upgrade your character's abilities and equipment, and then automate their attacks and spellcasting, and then watch their power grow even while you're away. The game was originally made in just 100 hours, as a personal challenge for the developer, but is now being expanded upon to create a bigger and better idle experience. There is no official release date for the game yet, but the developer is hoping to release the game in Q2 of 2026. Then there's Hyperspace Deck Command, a tactical deck building roguelite where you build your deck out of a variety of cards with dual use status effects in an effort to defeat the Swarm. This game is available to play on Steam, and like all of this developer's games, this one is sitting at a healthy positive review score of 94%. Then there's Quack Squad, a top-down frantic mini arcade game where you shoot, slash, and throw stronger, faster, and better after every run. This beautifully chaotic game can be found on the Epic Game Store, with a demo of the game available on GDevelop. Then there's The In-Between, a 2D action-packed yet emotionally charged Metroidvania where your fate and the fate of an infected world lies in your skills and choices. The game has been nominated and received an award in various expos and events, and it will be coming soon on Steam and the Epic Game Store. Now let's move on to some mobile games, starting with one that is not technically a game, but with almost 500,000 downloads and 40 million sessions, it's an app that has helped many people in need. Map of Air Alarms of Ukraine. The app is available to download on Google Play. Then there's the game Battle Gods Combat Warriors. With over 100,000 downloads, the game is a stickman brawler where you take control of one of two warriors and try to prove to the gods that you are the greatest one. This game is available to download on Google Play. Then there's Weapon Ball Fight. Again, with over 100,000 downloads. It's a sandbox game that simulates physics-based fights between characters in an arena. It was developed to capitalize on the viral weapon ball fight trend that was popular on TikTok and social media. This game is available to download on Google Play. Then there's Tomato Hero, which has been downloaded over 100,000 times on Google Play and has over 350,000 play sessions. The game is a meme precision platformer where you play as a tomato trying to make their way through the kitchen without getting sliced. This game is available to download on Google Play. Then finally there's Plane and Tank, with over 100,000 downloads on Google Play and over 300,000 play sessions. It's a game where you play as a tank trying to progress through the level while planes drop bombs from above. The game can be downloaded on Google Play or played in a browser on GDevelop. Now let's move into some miscellaneous games that don't quite fit into any category. Starting with Speak with Screams, which is the third game in the See-Through Static trilogy. The first game in the trilogy was created for GDevelop's third weekend game jam, and it won first place in every category other than fun for obvious reasons. And this third entry in the trilogy expands on the world and the subtle unnerving dread. This game is available to play on itch.io. Then there's Staff Dungeon, one of many music education games created to help people learn to read music in a fun and engaging way. The game is exclusively available from the developer's website and still managed to get 150,000 play sessions this year. Then there's Gentai Shooter, which was originally made for a bullet hell jam back in 2023, but it's been getting regular updates from its developer, fine-tuning the mechanics and expanding upon the gameplay. This game is available to download on itch.io. Then finally there's Pocket Lin, which has had a staggering 350,000 play sessions this year. The game is a Tamagotchi-like fan game where you take care of a character from the popular Portuguese cartoon YouTube series Mundo Tarajo. The game is available to play on GD.Games. Now let's move on to games from game jams that took place this year. Starting with Over Titans, Destroyers of Worlds, winner of our 7th Big Game Jam and a distribution deal with Crazy Games. This game has been played over 240,000 times. You play as a mage that can combine different element spell types to create different types and sizes of spells, some of which are able to completely destroy the playing field. The game is available to play on Crazy Games and GD.Games. Then there's 1990's Realistic Horror Demo, which was the first place winner of our staged scene jam, where the only goal was to make something as visually appealing as possible, and they absolutely nailed it. The game is available to play on itch.io. Then there's the Silhouettes Corner, which landed in the top 1.5% in the narrative category of this year's GMTK Jam. coming in 143rd out of 9,574 games. Then there's Re-Rush, which also landed in the top 1.5%, but in the enjoyment category of this year's GMTK Jam. Also coming in 143rd out of 9,500 games. Then there's Headcount, which landed in the top 2% in the audio category of Ludum Dare 58, coming in 21st out of over 1,000 games. Then there's Over the Top, which was the first place community voted game from this year's 7th Big Game Jam. Then there's Powerline Guardians, winner of our 6th Big Multiplayer Game Jam and a distribution deal with Crazy Games that has been played over 150,000 times across the web.
Oh, no.
Then there's Jankin' O Reaper, coming in the top 3% in the visuals category of Jamsepticeye, a game jam hosted by the Irish YouTuber Jacksepticeye, coming in 32nd place out of the over 1,000 games submitted to the jam. And then finally is Phase, which was the #1 community voted game in our 8th Big GDevelop Game Jam in every category. We hope that you enjoyed this list and that it inspires you to make your own game. Then maybe next year we'll be showing off something you made.